Hi Legionnaires, Steve Cox here with you from High Tech Legion. At the core of every computer is the power supply. It's kind of the beating heart of a computer system. Whether that's your gaming rig back at home or your office computer at work, without stable power, none of the other components can possibly do their job right. I have with me here the Be Quiet Pure Power L8 500 watt power supply. It is 80 plus bronze rated. It is in the Essential line. The front of the box has a nice picture of the power supply. You can see it's all black. It'll fit in nicely with most modern cases. The side panels and the back of the box have the English, Spanish, Polish, German, and French. Just a list of features and expectations of the power supply itself. You have a diagram showing the 150 millimeter by 86 millimeter by 150 millimeter. That's the size dimensions of the power supply. So you can determine whether that fits in your case nicely. At that size, it should fit in just about any common case. The diagram showing the length of the wires and the fitting types and the connection types on each wire here on the back, so you can see what you're getting and make sure that it meets your needs. This has just about everything that a gaming computer would need. Then of course you have the power expectations and the max draw, system draw, AC input, DC output, 3 volt, 5 volt, 12 volt rails, all that information. Alright, I got everything out of the box. These are the components. You have your standard power cable. This one happens to be, if you can see in the bag, this one happens to be, direct from Europe. They sent this to me straight from Germany, but I'm fairly certain that ones available in America will have standard American plugs. It comes with a bag of zip strips. It is 5 zip strips and your standard 4 screws with 1 extra just in case. And the power supply itself, my mistake, here we have a pretty nice booklet. This is actually a really thorough booklet. 5 different languages, a little bit of everything. It has all of the compatibilities of the power supply, warnings and safety instructions for, especially for beginners, and how to install the power supply, how to be safe and protect yourself in doing so. Many of us know this, but not everyone does necessarily. It has different troubleshooting methods. I mean, this is really the most complete booklet I have seen come with a power supply ever, and I've had more than a few. The power supply itself has a really nice 120 millimeter Be Quiet fan. If you can see, the ridges on each individual blade has a series of ridges that cuts down the turbulence, and that's one of the things that makes Be Quiet's fans so quiet. Feels really redundant saying quiet so many times, but that's what it is. It is actually really super quiet. When I hooked it up and ran it, it is literally the quietest thing in my computer. My hard drive is louder. My water cooler pump is louder. I mean, it was so quiet you cannot hear it. I put my ear directly to it and you can hear the hum of the electronics and the transformers and the capacitors inside there more than you can hear the fan. I was actually very impressed by that. The box itself, the power supply, you can see it says Be Quiet here. It's stamped into the metal. The paint job is all black with a honeycomb on the back side. Of course, all this honeycomb provides a lot of ventilation, and that 120 millimeter Be Quiet silent fan actually does move a lot of air. For as quiet as it is, you can really feel the air blowing out of the back of this power supply. The power switch itself, pretty solid. You can hear it clicking there. Pretty solid switch. Feels like it'll last a long time. Of course, most people don't use that switch very often except for installing new components. Then of course you have your AC power input. The Be Quiet logo stamped on the side generally means that the power supply is made to be used as a bottom mount with the fan facing inside the case. That does not mean you have to. You could still mount it on the bottom with the fan facing outside. You'll be looking at the specification labels, the model number and all that. Or again, as a top mounted in the same direction. The wires at the back, pardon me as I knock everything around for a moment. The wires at the back are protected by a plastic grommet. I'm not sure you can see that very well. Yeah, the plastic grommet there protects the wires and has another small honeycomb area for some added ventilation. Each set of wires is protected by a sheath sleeve with some shrink wrap at the end to hold that down tightly. This is the 20 by 4 pin ATX. We'll run through the cables and connections real fast. This is your CPU and they're labeled. You can see the CPU label there. That is 2 4-pins and they can combine to make one 8-pin. Then you have the SATA power. 3 SATA powers on one wire, on one cable I mean. Like a bull in a china closet here. Here we have 2 more SATA powers, 1 Molex power, and then an additional floppy power. Here you go. Put it in front of the white. You can see. Then you have 3 Molex powers on one cable. This will be for any additional components, added fan controllers, anything someone puts in there, light kits, extra fans, whatever you may need. And then you have 2 6x2, these are 2 separate wires, 6x2 PCIe powers. These are for even your highest end graphics cards will only require 2 8-pins, and so that provides enough power for that. It'll be a really great starter power supply for anyone on a budget. It's a really solid power supply. Final thoughts on Be Quiet's Pure Power L8 500 watt power supply. Again, it is a budget power supply made for beginners and for essential line. That just means that they're just really trying to cover the basics, but they've really exceeded that. They have provided a super silent fan, really solid connections, each cable individually sleeved, just packed in a lot of extra features for a budget builder power supply. Again, that is the Pure Power L8 by Be Quiet. Going to give it an Editor's Choice Award. Again, I'm Steve Cox with High Tech Legion. We would love for you to join us on our forums at www.hightechlegion.com. You can like us over on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for daily and weekly updates in everything tech.